Hey there YouTube, Doc's Motorcycle Service. Rawr, 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 rawr. Welcome back to the backyard. Come on in, YouTube. Alright, so off we go to Needles Highway. Now I'm pretty sure we hit Needles Highway after we left the Crazy Horse. Now Needles Highway is a fame and lore because there's some spots in it that are about as wide as a needle. That's what they call it. They call it like a needle eye. Some more pictures of the rocks and the crevices. And they have attendants here who monitor each end of these tunnels, these crevices, whatever you want to call them, and then wave you through. This is one of the smaller ones right here. And believe it or not, some cars will fit in there. You're looking at this picture going, I don't know how in the world a car would fit in there, but it does fit in there on this one. The one that you're going to see here in a minute, no car can fit in there. It's amazingly tight. Once you come out, more beautiful scenery, lots of places to pull over and look and take in the beautiful areas out there. And one of the other things that we figured out was that the Badlands are really, really big. I mean, the Badlands National Park is massive. It's huge.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere we went, there would be a sign that would say, you know, now entering,
yes.
not the Badlands.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Black Hills.
The Black Hills. Linda's right, it is the Black Hills. And real quickly, I'm going to interject. We're sitting out here in the dark, but if you look at that map, I'm pretty sure every area in there on green is part of the Black Hills. And I'm telling you, boy, you go out there and show your butt, you're going to have a conversation with a guy that's probably going to hit your wallet a little bit. I'm just saying. All right, so we're making our way on through here. And just, you know, more beautiful pictures. This is the second tunnel that will not allow cars to go in it, and it's just as tight as it looks. Now, this was Deadwood, and on the map here you can see that it's north of Rapid City. I'm pretty sure that we, I think what we did just to see what was on the interstate, we ran 90 north into Sturgis again to get some gas. And then I think we went on up 90 and came south on 85 into Deadwood. So coming on into Deadwood, you have to come down here and you have to visit Mount Morrill Cemetery in Deadwood. And this is the burial site of two famous outlaws from the Old West. Had a little charge here, gift shops off to the right, information desk off to the left. There's Wild Bill, and I believe it's Calamity Jane, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yep. So here is where they're buried at, and there's a story about the bust and how they're turned. This here is the picture from their burial site looking down on Deadwood. And while you're out there, you got to go in a gift shop and get you some of this sarsaparilla, boy. Let me tell you something. Ooh.
Very good.
Other than Linda's lips, it's the sweetest thing that's ever went across mine. I'm still looking for it, trying to get it here, but I think it's like Coors Light in the 80s. It won't come across the Mississippi. So these here are the Northern Hills. They're on the north end under Spearfish and northwest of Deadwood. And you come down 14A, and again, it's just riding through the mountains looking at all kinds of stuff. And the cool part was we ended up in Deadwood again, and I'll tell you about that here in a minute. But right out of nowhere, everybody was pulled over because out of the woods came some goats. And these guys were just as comfortable being around people as anybody ever was. I mean, these guys were walking on these rocks, and these rocks were moving and falling under them. Okay, I mean, as they're walking on them, they're crumbling and falling, and these guys are like, I don't care, we're just here for the, you know, we're here for the vegetables and stuff like that. But it's just really cool, just more wildlife that you see out there. So we gathered up from that, and we kept on running down, and I think eventually we came into Lead and decided to go into Deadwood again and eat some supper, and we'll show you some more about that here in a minute. We stopped at this place, and again, what we say about hole in the walls, right?
Support your local communities.
Yes, the people that are there 52 weeks a year. So we pulled off, and it was getting kind of late in the day, and we looked at somebody and said, hey man, where's a place to get a good, you know, tasty beverage? And look for a local, okay?
Yes.
That's the thing. And the guy was like, well, you can go over there to the hotel, but they don't open till 5. They got a really good steak over there. He's like, but over here in the basement of the hotel, It's a pretty good little dive bar, and I said, hey man, we're in. So we went there and we had chicken fried bacon.
Ah,
What'd you
yum.
think of it? Very yummy. Very, very good. Very tasty. Sweet little waitress in there.
Oh, she was cute, yeah.
Place had, it set like 12 people, 13 people, if that. Just a little hole in the wall kind of dive bar where you can sit there and get you something to eat, and bam, just like that, it was gone. There was the lovely Miss Linda in her riding attire, and we had a real good time there. Got some supper, fueled up, and then we headed on back. Okay, so here's what we did. Again, another little place out there, little hole in the wall, doing a pancake breakfast right beside the fire department. We got us some flapjacks, filled up on some OJ and some coffee, walked next door, bought a couple of t-shirts from your fire departments. Folks, if you don't know this, fire departments, especially volunteer departments, really don't get a lot of money from the county. So if you find you're in an area with a volunteer fire department or a small rural department, go up and knock on their door and go, hey man, you got a t-shirt I can buy? And most of the time they do. They have t-shirts set up that they'll sell for enough for them to make a little profit off it and keep their operations running. Linda's the talkative one.
Yes.
Yes, Linda's the social butterfly, ain't that right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll talk to anybody. I don't care. The guy told him, I said, hey, where y'all going? I said, we're headed over there to, where we were going? We were going down to CUSTER State Park.
Yes.
And as you can see on the map here, this was a pretty good ride. If we started up here off 90 and came down and jumped over on the Orange Route on 44, came over to Johnson Siding, and then took 385 south. Right there, just outside of Johnson Siding, on the left side, you'll see Pictorial Lake. He said, man, you need to stop and take a look at this water. He said, this is a reservoir that was created, and they buried a town with the water. I said, just like where in Old Brother Where Art Thou? He said, exactly. And so what we ended up doing was we got over there, read a little bit about the history on it, and I ain't going to hold this picture here forever. You can look it up and read all you want to on it, but it's massive, massive amounts of water up there. And you know, if you ain't figured it out by now, I love taking pictures of this country. Now, right here was a little town that we stayed in, or we didn't stay in, we stopped in. What'd you say the name of that was? Was that Hill City?
Yes.
Yes. Hill City. Now, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it, but it was on the way, and they had motorcycles, and they had a little place to stop and get something to drink. Remember, we're not in a hurry. It took us, if you look at the map, we ate breakfast over there in Johnson Siding at about 8 o'clock, and
Yes.
it was probably lunchtime before we got right here. So we're not in a hurry when we're out riding like this. Took care of that, and from there, let's see where we went to.
CUSTER State Park.
All right, so CUSTER State Park Wildlife Loop. Now, I put that on here for a reason. And we're going to get into this real briefly at the end of this video. But looking at the map, you'll see that CUSTER State Park is this orange area that's sort of under Mount Rushmore National Park, and it's on 87, and it crosses 16 and 16A, and you see this is some pretty windy roads through here, and then it circles down, then it goes back up north and crosses on 16A for a little bit, and then goes into the Iron Mountains. Now, we didn't take any pictures of the Iron Mountains because Linda was tired. Linda was about done that day because that was a long day out there. But what I want to tell you about this park is, and I don't hold me to this, but looking at the map, you see where 16A comes in right beside Legion Lake. The loop is everything south of that
Yes.
comes down and goes back up. But going through the park is where you see all the critters at, and the buffalo at, and all these other things that are out there to be seen. We stopped in to use the bathroom at a guest center and get some water and knock the dust off the trail. But the lady told me, she said, typically right here where it's on the map where it says Game Lodge, I'm pretty sure that's where we went in at. She told me right there, she said the buffalo are almost always on this end of 16A. Now 16A is more than, it's just a little bit more in a wide spot in the road with some pavement put on it, okay? It's not gravel, but it's pavement. But there's a lot of people out there. You're going to run into other motorcyclists. You're going to run into bicyclists. You're going to look into looky-loos in cars. You're going to look into looky-loos pulling trailers on with motorcycles on them and RVs and all kinds of stuff. So again, don't be in a hurry. But we came in from the other side, and I'm telling you, we rode and we rode and we rode and we rode, and we hadn't seen anything. And I was just praying. I was like, Lord, come on. I was like, Linda wants to see a buffalo.
I did.
Can't you just let one buffalo come out? Because I felt like we were getting to the end of this thing.
Yeah, we felt like we'd been riding and we hadn't seen anything,
and
we were just getting bummed that we weren't going to see one.
And I was like, Lord, I said, Lord, I know I'm a bad person. I said, but be kind to Linda. Let Linda see a buffalo. And sure enough, just right before this picture that you're looking at up here, here come this buffalo just kind of meandering through the woods.
Yeah, through the woods, literally.
Yeah, just quite literally just meandering. And I'm like, thank you, Lord, for letting Linda see that buffalo. And we went on and passed it. And you know what I did then as a sinner? I was like, Lord, can you find 2 buffalo?
Just one more, just one more.
Is that drunk's prayer? Oh Lord, just let me get through the night. I won't ever take again. And then Saturday night, Sunday morning, you out there saying that prayer again. But long story short, this loop is pretty awesome. There's a lot of fun stuff to see on it, a lot of critters. We pulled up to a wide spot in the road and everybody was out, and here came some mules or jackasses, depending on what you want to call them. And apparently the 2 small ones here had just been born the day before. They're used to people being around them. They're comfortable coming up and being petted. And then out of the blue, this lady runs up to Linda and says, here. And she fills her hand with what?
Carrots. She had carrots.
And I'm like, where'd you get carrots from? And she's like, this lady gave them to me. And apparently, what's the story behind that she told you?
Nothing. I mean, other than they just always have them.
Yeah, they know every time they come out there, they
right.
bring carrots to feed them. Or grapes, or apples, or something like, maybe not grapes, but they bring some type of fruit out there, and they bring enough to share with anybody that happens to show up. So they gave Linda a handful of carrots, and she got to pet another other than me. And but no, it was a good time. You know, it was a little warm, but we were having a good time. The critters were out. Linda had a good time petting these guys, and then boom, and what you're going to see is you'll see people waving at you on the way up. They'll be going like this, or they'll be going over their shoulder like that, and that means the buffalo are right there. So if you're riding wide open and you shouldn't be, start to slow down. But as you can see right here, we rolled right into the middle of them, and there was a bunch of them crossing the road. Now this is on the left side of the road, and apparently we had gotten there just as the herd had sort of split.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, this is just like you see on TV. They are everywhere, and there is a lot of them, and they just hang out there. Now I wouldn't advise you trying to feed any of them carrots.
Nope.
But it was pretty cool. Now I am going to share something with you here as this picture plays out. So when we got down there to that lodge, and I was talking with one of the people at the lodge that had told us that that is the end for them to be on if you just want to come in and see the buffalo and turn around and leave. She was like, respect them, but don't be afraid of them. And I was like, why? And she's like, well, you know, their heads are like this big. I was like, and she's like, you know, their eyes are about this big around. I was like, yeah. She said, they can't see well. She said, they can only see about 5 feet in front of you. So if you get out there near one, or if you ever watch one and somebody walks up on it, you'll see it just turn that head and look at you and hold real still. Because if you're more than 5 feet away from it, it has no idea what you are. It just has no idea what you are because it can't see you. And it's just amazing that something with an eyeball this big, because one walked by, okay? Yeah. One walked by. One walked by. I'm pretty sure his eyeball is about that big. Just don't be afraid of them, and don't run from them, because if you spook one, he's going to spook everybody and they're going to take off. Y'all saw that thing recently on TV about them idiots out there being chased across the bridge. Where was that, Yellowstone?
Yes.
And they got too close. 2, they started to run, and then they started to run with them, thinking that they were after them. Now we're getting close to the end, in case you're in a hurry. I know, the video's kind of long, but the Badlands National Park. Well, I want to show you something on the map here, and I'm going to bring it up. Badlands State Park. And if you'll look right up at the top, over there on the left, you're going to see Wall. Well, Wall is the name of the town, and this is Wall Drug. And it's not very much. It's just but it's big. I mean, if you've got a Walmart in your area, it's probably bigger than a Walmart, and it's just a really kind of cool little place to go in and hang out and buy whatever they got, get a cone of ice cream, what have you. Wall does have a Harley Davidson dealership there, so if you want to go over and get you a chip from one of them or get you another t-shirt or what have you. But you know, we talked about this before, and in the first video I mentioned to you, you know, everybody said, don't you go on down there to them Badlands, you gotta drive to them Badlands to get there, them Badlands ain't nothing to look at. Well, if you look at the map, you'll notice that 90 does come in by exit 131 and kind of go northwest toward Wall when it continues on to Sturgis. Well, that part is considered the Badland Loop. The rest of it is you come out of Wall South, stand on 240, work your way through all these different places, come back over, merge in with 377, and then go north back to 90. Well, brother, this looks like a little bitty area on a map. Looks can be deceiving. Now, the Badland is known for three things. One, it's known for a place where the sun sets. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. We saw all kinds of people from other countries there with their cameras out taking pictures of the sunset. Well, on the other side of the park, there's an identical spot to pick up the sunrise. Now, I don't know where that was because we weren't there for sunrise. But the key thing that is the mystery about the Badlands, and I'm going to talk a minute as we look through these pictures. This is us right here on 240, just outside of Wall. I think we had not entered the park yet. We were on the loop, but not in the park. And where we are is looking probably northeast, right here on this little edge of the mountain that Linda wouldn't get next to. But what you're going to notice there are some travel trailers and some RVs and stuff in some of these pictures. This place is huge. I ain't gonna lie to you, YouTube. It's pretty damn big. But these guys in these campers, they're called boondockers. And of course, me being the shy one, I didn't know any of this. Linda had to go find it out.
Yep.
But boondocking, I don't know what boondocking is where you're at, but boondocking in the travel world is people who move by RV from one state to another state or across the country, and instead of pulling up at a hotel or pulling up at a travel plaza like we did and sleeping in the vehicle, within their culture, within their pages, their fan pages, they have lists of these places where it's public land that you can pull over, that you'll be safe, and you can set up your RV right there overnight. I mean, why'd you buy that RV? You can cook in it, you can eat in it, you can sleep in it, you can pee in it, you can poop in it, you can do everything in it. So why pull it somewhere and then go in a hotel room? And that's what these guys do. It's called boondocking. Well, some of these boondocking places like this one are pretty famous because it gets so dark. You are so far from ambient light. I mentioned this in the other video. At this spot right here in South Dakota, you are so far removed from ambient light that you can never see the Milky Way with the naked eye anyway.
Right.
Because you have to take a camera that has an adjustable shutter on it. And you have to put it in a tripod and then set the shutter for like 25 seconds and then not move it. And with the shutter open for that long, it allows enough light or darkness or whatever to creep in that where the lens will capture the stars way up in there in the Milky Way. I don't have a camera like that. But he did say that around 10:30 at night you can see Orion's belt, and Orion's belt is like a cluster of stars that goes from one horizon all the way to the other horizon, and they're all grouped together like a belt. But anyway, enough of that. So we checked all that out.
There's more buffalo.
And there's more buffalo. I'm telling you, I thought Linda wanted to bring a buffalo home. I think if she could have got one in the back of the truck, he'd have been standing right here behind us going, yep, I got an eye about that big. But so as we get closer to the gate and the money we paid.
That's what I was just going to say as a reminder. So when we went to Needles Highway, that was also National Park, and you had to pay to get in. And it actually got you a band for the bike or vehicle or whatever.
And the band is good for a week. It's not per day. You pay one time and it's good for a week.
But it was one that would get you into majority of the national parks.
Yeah,
so
we paid one time
so
there.
we paid one time there, kept it on.
That got us in Custer.
Got us in Custer, and it got us into the Badlands.
Yep.
We didn't have to pay anything.
And when we pulled up to the gate, I mean, these guys recognize tourists, okay? I mean, they do. But eyes open all the time because you never know what you're going to see, and then want to stop and take a picture of it, just like this photo right here. So I had to check the truck a couple times just to make sure that Linda didn't get any of these guys in the trucks.
Right.
What are these?
These are prairie dogs.
Prairie dogs.
Oh
and
my
brother,
God.
if you
Everywhere.
If you look out in the distance, them little prairie dog mounds, they go on forever. And it is kind of hilarious to look at them because they will look back at you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're looking at them like they're in a zoo or something like that, and they're doing the same back at you, like, oh, look at that guy. Look.
Yeah, that one's like, hey, that's the old boy gave us those peanuts. And when cars come by and stop, we gotta look at them. So they were they were looking at us as we were looking at them. But I'm telling you, there's a bunch of them out there. So I'm gonna try to wrap this up real quick because we are getting to the end. This is one of the pull-offs for the sunset. And if you have any questions, just ask them rangers at the gate when you come through. They'll give you another map. I think we came home with like 5 of these things, and they'll point out on the map where you got to go. But I think we probably got here, and I'm telling you, YouTube, you can see forever out there. Previously, when we were talking about this road trip going to South Dakota, and you're on a straight road that's 100 miles this way and 100 miles that way, and you look this way and don't see nothing but corn, and you look that way and you don't see nothing but corn, it's because the farms out there are like 100 square mile farms. Right. Okay? And as I said before, take plenty of gas with you. Top off everywhere. Because there's places out there, and we found this interesting compared where we live. Out here where we live at, you have a farm with a house on it and a barn. These places are so big, YouTube, that the highway was built through their land and gave them an underpass to go under with their tractors. Yeah. So no off-ramps. This is just for them to take their hay baler or their corn gatherer or their cotton gatherer or their sunflower seed gatherer or their soybean gatherer and go under the interstate to the other 10 square miles of farmland, which is theirs. I mean, they are masses, but never saw a house on any farm. Nope. Never saw a house on the. There's a atmospheric or solar phenomenon that when the sun shines straight on these things, it bleaches them out. As you see, they're almost bleached white. They look like sand. All right. But they're made up of 11 different minerals and volcanic ash. And as I click through the pictures here, you'll see as the sun starts to set and they're not on direct light, look down there in the lower right hand corner in that shady area, you'll see the colors actually start to come out of the rocks. So we were driving away from the sunset as far as we thought we could go in time to run back up there to the sunset. And then all of a sudden Linda goes, oh, look at there! And there's some goats just kind of hanging out. Now, these guys didn't seem like they really wanted to come up to the car, so we weren't going to bother them too much, and we were kind of in a hurry. And then I saw something that made me stop. I was like, oh boy. And then he turned his head sideways, and I went, oh boy. So if you hunt deer, you know what got me excited. So there's a pretty good look at these rocks, and the sun's starting to set, and so we're starting to make our way back up there. But I mean, look at this. This just goes on forever out there. And we're getting closer and closer, and we're snapping pictures, and I mean, it's unbelievable how God created this. So I think it was at this point right here that we turned around and we started running back. Right. And as we were running back, I was trying to take some pictures of the same areas I took on the way in so you could see those colors that were popping out. And I mean, they're just beautiful. I mean, they're absolutely beautiful. So if anybody sits there and tells you that you don't need to go down there and see them old Badlands, well, you know, that's on you if you don't want to go. But I'm going to tell you something right there. That's beautiful. That is just a beautiful, beautiful. And that picture right there, that kind of shows you what the roads are like out there. I mean, there's not a whole lot to them. But I mean, if you're into sunsets, I mean, I love a good sunset. And to be able just to see here, I mean, don't it look like it's just the earth is just curving away from the sun there? And I mean, it's just beautiful. We really enjoyed hanging out there and just taking in all the sights, and it was just gorgeous. So wrapping this thing up, but I do want to tell you something about the Badlands, all right? Make sure you got good lights on your vehicle, okay?
Or motorcycle or whatever you're riding
Because,
in.
brother, let me tell you something out there. When the sun goes down, it's dark.
Dark.
It's like dark over my shoulder dark, okay? It's like something absorbs the light. We were traveling about 20-25 miles an hour. There's no street lights, there's no marker lights, there's no reflectors on the road. There was a guy in front of us pulling an RV probably 75, 100 feet in front of us, and his tail lights looked like little bitty pins. I mean, it was crazy. We saw a couple guys in the dark on motorcycles, and here's what makes this place kind of dangerous. If you look back at that map, if you go on Google Earth and you zoom in on that state scenic bypass there, and you get real tight on, there's some curves like this. I mean, there's some curves like this. And there's some dips like that you won't expect. I mean, they'll come up on you, especially in the dark. So if you are out there at night, take your time, don't speed. We got passed by 2 Rangers coming at us, and I was kind of getting it in the straightaway because we, as I mentioned in the previous, we left here to come home. Our plan on the last day was to get breakfast, pack up everything. We ran somewhere, we did a little bit more shopping, we came back, we put the bike on the trailer, and we left to go to Wall. Probably got there around 3:30. Got over to the Badlands around 4:30 and stayed out there to sunset, which was probably
8:30-ish.
8-ish, yeah. And then we bounced out of there. But let me tell you something. Driving safely out with a truck and a trailer and a bike on the back of it, it probably took us, we were probably up there around that Dillon Pass somewhere, that Pinnacle entrance right there. And it took us almost 2 hours to get from that Pinnacle entrance down and around the curve back up to the interstate to come home. So again, and what's the number one thing you want to do to your motorcycle before you go out there?
If you're going to take your motorcycle, you need to make sure that you've got a big tank and that you fill it up.
Yes, sir. Because let me tell you something. From the time we got on that road till from the time we left the interstate and Wall till we got back to Wall, there was nothing but that ranger station and other people.
That's it.
That's it. I'm just telling you. So, you know, make sure your cell phone's charged up.
Yes.
Make sure. I'm just telling you, make sure everything's ready. I talked about this before in the first part of the video, making sure that your motorcycle's in tip-top condition to go out there. And one thing that I forgot to mention in that video was this. You boys with them carburetors, and boys out there were having problems with carburetors because of the elevation and the changes in the altitude, I guess. The jets wasn't just right. Them carburetor motorcycles was having a little bit of a problem. So I always tell you, take a toolkit with you wherever you go. But if you are not the one that turns the wrenches on your motorcycle, make sure you go to the guy who does and says, hey man, I'm going to South Dakota. They said because the elevations out there, carburetors can be kind of funny. If mine starts to act up, what should I expect? And where's the needle jet for me to adjust? And have him show you that. And a good way to remember it might be to take your phone out and video that as he's doing it, so you can see what he's doing and hold on to that while you're out there. So we didn't get all the pictures. Little travel tip here I wanted to share with you, and then we're going to wrap this up. If you're taking your phone and you take a lot of pictures, take a laptop with you or something to transfer those pictures over to. Linda got some great pictures of the buffaloes, but right there at that moment we had forgot to clear them off before when we got in the last night. Her phone died, and she was taking pictures with mine, and it filled up with memory. So we didn't get all the pictures of the buffalo we wanted, but we got some good pictures. So I enjoyed the trip.
It was awesome.
YouTube, I hope you enjoyed these videos. I hope they help you plan for a trip. You can use the advice that we gave you here on any big motorcycle trip, wherever it is. You know, rate, comment, share. And you got anything else to say?
Nope.
That it?
That's it.
We're ready to do it again here in a couple of years?
Okay.
Yeah. We won't do it every year. I'm not going to lie to you. It's kind of costly. I think the campground that we stayed at was for what, about $3,000?
Yep.
About $3,000. God, I can't tell you how many gas stops on the way there and on the way back. and the money that we put into the trailer, which is in video 2, getting it ready to go out there. So it was I would probably say we probably had about, what, $5,000 invested in it?
I think so, yeah.
But it was well worth it. And it was a good time. All right, YouTube, we appreciate you coming by the backyard. The next video should be the video of the shop. We're getting real close to getting that done. I'll update you in those videos. And as always, YouTube, you know, ride safe, handle your business, save some money. And